Welcome back tuning into today's second video. It's my CFS 6 months look ahead for this second video. I've already done the weekend forecast, as always on a Saturday, and that is here on the home page underneath this video. Also got written report for weekend forecast, of course, as always, so check that out if you want to read a written version. This is the CFS 6 months look ahead, just for fun, for October 2015. We're going to go 6 months ahead with CFS V2. It's going to take us to April, I think, so we're going a long way ahead. As I say, it's just for fun, it's not to be relied upon, it's one model, and I'm going to show you a couple of charts in a moment, but we'll explain why this is not to be relied upon. The CFS V2 is not the greatest model at the best of times. The charts are there, so we might as well use them, but yeah, just don't take it too seriously, and we're really just here to have a bit of fun with this video. Now, we're going to get on with the CFS 6 month book ahead, just to say about the ads. There's links to articles on all the pages of the Gas Office, so have browse widgets and click through the links. If there's any articles that you're interested in, you have to go for read the article, and thanks very much for doing that. There's also video ads, most pages which open out within the content. When you watch them, they will close back up again. So thanks very much for getting involved, and thanks for doing that. It's my birthday today, so thanks so much for tuning in on the evening of my birthday. I'm actually recording this on Friday because I'm probably going to be out somewhere. Hopefully I'll be in a fairly sober state wherever I am while you're watching this. But to be serious, thanks so much for all the support that you give to Gas Office, and for continuing to tune in to the videos and the updates. It is actually, can you believe, going to be the busiest month that Gas Office ever this month, and we keep breaking records month by month by month. So it is astonishing, really, always to me, just how kind and generous you all are with your support for the website. So thanks very much for tuning in. And what else am I going to say? I think that's about it, really. I think that's it for all of the announcements. Just say that tomorrow, I knew there's something else. Tomorrow, it's the 6th, I think 6th update for winter 15-16. So, I mean, we're getting on with the updates now. We're getting well into them, and we'll be doing that on the website tomorrow, so come back for that. Right, let's get on with it. I've gone on for far, far too long. And I just want to start off with October's forecast from last month. So this was generated in September and was for the September CFS systems look ahead, but it's for October, just to show how the model has struggled even for this month. So we're going to start off with the 700 millibar height anomaly that we had when we did last month's update, and I'm not sure if you quite remember this, but it was suggested we got a trough of low pressure in the Atlantic, a ridge over Scandinavia, and backing into the west of Russia, and that brings project stream through like that. So an unsettled month was being signalled from the CFS V2 for October, with the Atlantic probably the major driver. This is how it actually finished up. It's very significantly, and in some ways quite shockingly different, really. So in terms of that below average area of pressure, that is sort of to the west and southwest of Greenland. Very long way away, much further away than the model was expecting it to be. It also didn't get this ridge correct. Much stronger ridging towards Scandinavia than the model was predicting, and crucially also tying in with northern blocking. We've got all of this red going on up here over the polar field. It didn't get this trough here down into western parts of Russia, bringing early winter to them, and of course that also means that eastern and northeast parts of Europe have been cold as well. Didn't get that, and it also didn't get this trough sitting to the south of us across Spain and southern parts of France. So that's why we've had such an easterly month with a lot of easterly winds, because we've had low pressure to the south and high pressure up to the northeast. The squeeze between the two has been producing easterly. So instead of westerlies being the driver for this month, it's actually been an easterly month. And of course, this was just 1 month away when we did last month's update. So we're going to be going 6 months ahead with this, and the model is struggling, or certainly last month anyway, it did struggle to get the forecast right just for the next month. So as I say, make a joke of it when I say sort of don't take too seriously, it's all just for fun, that kind of thing. I like to have a bit of a joke and make these videos lighter, these CFS 6 month look aheads, make them a bit more fun. But it is a serious point, actually, that really don't take the things that you see in this in these videos all that seriously, especially as you go further and further out. It's going to be an important point to keep in the back of your mind if you like cold and snowy weather, because as has been the case with these updates as we've gone along over the past few months, it's another grim update for anybody that likes cold and snowy winter weather. You're going to have to get behind the sage law again, unfortunately. I don't think I'm giving too much away by saying that. So let's get on with it, and this is the 700 millibar height anomaly for November. And what the model is saying is it's unleashing the Atlantic. So this is what it wanted to do in October. It's doing it in November. Eventually the Atlantic will be unleashed at some point. Of course, maybe this is it. But I think the CFS, like its cousin the GFS, the short range model, I think they both have an instinct to bring in westerlies too quickly. They both tried to reset to a default setting, which is westerly, but GFS has always had that, as long as I've been looking at it since around the year 2000, when I think something like the MRF or AVN or something. It's always had that westerly bias within it, and I think the CFS has that as well to some degree. Probably not as bad as the GFS, but it does have it to some degree. So maybe this will be the month when the westerlies are unleashed, but I think we have to have a few caveats with it, just because of how poor the October forecast was. But anyway, this is what it's showing. The westerlies coming back through at November with all of this ridging down to the south, so it's a westerly month, and probably quite unsettled with above average rainfall, and probably not too cold either. We go through to December, and here we go again. It's the same old story that we've been getting with these CFS 6 months look aheads over the past few months. We get the ridging pushing up into the central med. We've got a trough of low pressure to the northwest of the country, a deep trough that will be bringing a lot of heavy rain. But look what the jet stream would be doing, going on a southwest to northeast trajectory that would allow very mild air to start pumping up from the south. So the signal for December is unsettled, but potentially very mild. Things just get worse as we go through into January. That ridge becomes very strong through the Med and into the central part of Europe. The trough of low pressure is actually being pushed out into the central part of the Atlantic. And, well, the flow is being dragged up something like that. So with the trough easing off and that ridge across central Europe, we could have kind of a spring-like sort of January, really. You'd be bringing up very balmy air from the tropical Atlantic. It wouldn't be at all surprised to be seeing temperatures on many days, if it came off like this, getting into double figures. That could be an exceptionally mild month. Again, this is all very much shades of 97, 98. We go through to February, a little bit more interesting in February, in that the ridge is beginning to ease off a bit across the central part of the Mediterranean, central part of Europe. This trough is becoming centred to the north of Scotland. So, well, it's still mild. I think we're probably bringing the flow up something like that. It still probably is a mild flow, but it could be a little bit more unsettled. And with this ridging starting to get into place around Newfoundland, we might begin to bring some cooler air in from the northwest. I mean, don't be running away with the idea that this is decks of winter by any means. It is an overall, but seasonal. It's a very mild winter from CFS B2 again, but perhaps not quite as exceptionally mild as the signal is for January. And then we go through to March, and we do get a change. This is 5 months away now, so, I mean, anything could happen at this point, really. But what it's trying to do is centering the trough over Scandinavia. It's trying to push this ridge into the central part of the Atlantic. So the flow will begin to go a bit like that, begin to generate a bit of a trough within the 700 millibar flow, and that could start to allow cooler, not necessarily all that cold, but it could start to allow cooler air to come down from the north and the northwest for March. And then for April, the trough is again centred to the east of us, ridging out through the central part of the Atlantic. And this could be quite a chilly month, actually. You could get wintry showers with that. Certainly April's not too late to get snow, and could be some very late season frost as well. Of course, with such a mild winter, we'll have to be thinking about getting all of the spring flowers and fruit blossom going early, so that wouldn't be great either. Obviously, if we did have a fairly cold April, as that sort of implies we may do. So that's how the heights are looking. Let's have a look at the temperatures and see what the temperatures are doing. So for November, well, we're near normal actually for November. Of course, an average temperature in November is going to be fairly chilly. It's quite a chilly month, so there is a little bit of wintry potential perhaps that temperature anomaly for November, but don't be thinking it's a cold month. It isn't. Most of Europe bathed in milder than average temperatures. Now look at this, here we go for December, and most of Europe is turning exceptionally mild. In most red colours, very mild month being signalled for December. Actually, in terms of averages, we're not doing too bad. England and Wales is milder than average. Scotland, Northern Ireland is near average. We go through to January and things just get more mild, if it's possible, across most parts of Europe. That's an insanely mild looking signal for January across most parts of Europe. I do think we could be breaking records really with this, not just in the UK, but across many parts of Europe. If this comes off as Molly is predicting, this is a very exceptionally mild month being indicated by the CFS V2 for January. For February, it just goes on and on and on. Actually, we're a little bit milder in this country in February than we are for January. I'm not sure about that. I think the overall signal from this is that a very mild winter, exceptionally mild winter, is being signalled for virtually the whole of Europe. The British Isles would be, of course, including that. There is no colder than average temperature anomalies anywhere across Europe. That is quite extraordinary. Greenland's a bit colder than average, but other than that, nowhere really across Europe has any colder than average weather going on, and that's the case throughout the whole of the winter. Now we get through to March, and the pattern does change in March, so we begin to see all of that warmth sort of draining away, going away. It still is very mild, especially in central eastern parts of Europe. But I think that is a significant change, quite clearly, from February to March. That is a fairly significant reduction in temperature taking place. And that goes on into April as well, when most parts of Europe have gone back to average temperatures. The reason that's happening is that the jet stream is beginning to track further south in that sort of direction, as opposed to going like this, as it is through most of the winter. Finally, just dealing with the precipitation anomalies, if I can get the right charts. There we go. It's going to be a wet winter if this comes off. So we have November coming out wetter than average, not just for UK, but for many western and central parts of Europe. We move through into December, and again, significantly wetter than average. A really wet month possible for December. Could be stormy as well, if it comes off as the model is implying. Still above average rainfall for January, but less so because, of course, we've got this ridging beginning to push up from North Africa. We go through to February again, still signalling quite a wet month into February, so exceptionally mild, but wet, really signal for most parts of Europe as we get through the winter months. And then things start to turn drier in the west as we go through into March. That's as the pattern's changing. The trough is beginning to centre to the east of the country in this sort of zone. The ridge is beginning to build out to the west, and the upshot is that we start to do something like that, begin to get a little bit of southerly movement within the jet stream in the 700 millibar flow. And then finally we finish up into April. Looking quite unsettled actually for April. A pretty wet month. There's low pressure in here across many central parts of Europe. And of course by April we could be opening the door to northerly, maybe even northeasterly winds. So the spring, it won't actually be colder than the winter, but the spring in terms of averages is looking colder than the winter. An exceptionally mild winter is being predicted by CFS V2 for the winter months, and also very wet, and then it turns cooler, possibly even cold, by the time we get through to spring. So we'll see what Molly's showing. It's all just for fun, it's not to be relied upon. Have a bit of a laugh, but don't take it too seriously. We will see what the CFS weather gods have conjured up for us next month. Will it be another month to be hiding behind your sofa if you like cold and snow? Come back next month for November's CFS 6 months look ahead tomorrow. It's the 6th Winter 2015-2016 update. So come back for that tomorrow morning. Be around 10 o'clock. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.